Hello, PTA back at you again, and this time to send off 2024, or start off 2025, depending on when this video releases, I've decided to make another collection review of every new acquisition I've made after the last one. And as you have already seen with this preview, I have made quite a lot of acquisitions. Anyways, enough with the formalities, let's hop into it. Okay, starting off, I'll address the elephant in the room, or in this case, the railgun, since it's basically the most eye-catching object in the collection. Now, in its debut video, I pretty much covered most things you need to know about it, lore-wise. But here's some IRL behind-the-scenes stuff. I modeled Lilith, of course, after Lucifer, from Plastic Apocalypse, which is a no-brainer, but of course I've taken some liberties here and there, mainly taking design cues from Leopold, which Lucifer was based on, and one of the things I copied, for example, was the elevation mechanism. When Michael Ackerman designed his Lucifer, he cannibalized the elevation mechanism from a Boley Patriot launcher system to fix the gun at a specific angle. Now, I didn't have access to that at the time, nor would I be interested in destroying an original Boley. So I made my own elevation mechanism with some inspiration from Leopold. This is what the elevation mechanism looks like. If you're wondering how I'm able to lock the gun at a certain angle, this is how. Aside from the screw, everything here is cardstock, by the way. So you see that thing moving about in that? Well, with the screw, if I were to drill it into one of the holes, it would lock the gun into whatever position these holes are set to, if that makes sense. With mechanics out the way, let's talk about more external details, like these machine guns for instance. These are based on twin M2HB 50 cal machine guns, which are typically mounted on naval ships to pulverize pirates, I guess. The guns can swivel around and are removable from the catwalk if I were to need them for some other reason. Here's the shell loading system and the swing arm to catch ejected shells, I believe. Finally, this is the crane which lugs the shells up. There's a lot of parts that spin on it, like this, and of course, the pulley system, which actually works. Okay, with Lilith done, we'll talk about the main topic of the collection, and to begin, we'll discuss my most recent purchase. That being the SCS Direct World War II Armymen. The first part of the SCS World War II poses that are to be covered is this eyesore. These are the US soldiers from the set, and as you have noticed, I have an astronomical amount of grenade throwers. Why? Well, I don't know. How about you ask SCS Direct or the people who packaged this? When I purchased this set, it was taking a really long time for the package to arrive. And usually Amazon packages come early with them overworking their employees all the time. Then when I opened the box and saw this, I probably found the reason for such the delay. It also seems this mistake is also being repeated for recent orders for other people. For example, this fella on Discord, having the same infliction as well. I know the SCS Direct randomization of poses you get is often iffy, but come on, what the hell is this? Only 2 riflemen. Now, what I'll do with this excess of grenade throwers? I'll probably just use them as dead bodies that already pre-litter the set. On to a more satisfactory part of the box. Here are the Japanese soldiers. Not much to say aside from the fact that I'm mildly annoyed there's only one pose of the guy raising his fist in the air. Oh yeah, I plan on painting these fellas pink for the Pink Nation, but that's like far into the future of my series. Next we move on to the Tans and we have the Brits. These guys really fit well into my series, since the Tans in Armymen and Arms are supposed to borrow aspects from the British and Commonwealth countries, or formerly Commonwealth, since Phalanx is Irish. Now, with the randomization of poses here, I actually struck gold, since they sent not 1, not 2, but 5 of the officer poses, which I plan to use not only to represent the Tan General Sonoran, but also other characters from different factions too. As you can see, I already amputated this dude's arm, so that I can reposition it into a shooting pose. Finally, onto the final faction of the box. These are the Germans, and they give you a modest amount of soldiers for each pose. I wasn't very lucky for the officer though, as compared to the Tans, they only gave me one. They also gave me a disproportionate amount of MG42 gunners and their assistances, like, look at how many assistant belt feeders they gave me compared to just 2 MG42 gunners. Oh, almost forgot. Here's a part of the box that I found interesting. So the Armymen I got were the most recent updated versions of the SCS Army poses, but on the box here, it displays the older designs that got discontinued. In my opinion, I like the newer Germans more, but that's just what I think. Moving on, here are the Timmy SWAT guys. This one guy in particular, I customized to be the Graham Stickler you see in my previous vid. And here are the Tan SWAT poses. The Tan Timmy SWAT poses are actually larger than 132 scale, or standard Timmy Armymen, though I intend to still use them. Right in front of the Timmy SWAT are these guys. These are vintage Marks Armymen. They're good background cast members. This particular pose, the machine gunner, works really well for defensive scenes. This complimentary bootleg airfix pose was also included as well, though I don't see any use for him. Here's the poses for the farmer and his son you see in Aliens vs. Armymen. I don't know much about their origins or what they're based on, though. On the topic of Aliens vs. Armymen, you also see these guys in the background. These are the scientists, and they're made by SCS Direct too. These guys actually originally come in gray, but I painted them in both green and tan. They originate from the Humans vs. Aliens set. Here are the gray aliens I used. The set also comes with civilians, which is nice for when I want to involve non-combatants or civilians into my series. Here's what they look like next to 132 Timmy Armymen. They're smaller, but still work decently. Here's the Green News team. Just a modded Timmy guy and True Heroes pose. Side note, I hate how short his left arm, originally holding the rifle, is. Behind them are the two Iwo Jima US Marines. I haven't opened all the bazooka men, but here's one of them. The bazooka is removable, hence why it's bagged. I could also make a custom weapon for him too if I wanted to. Next to them are the Sheldon poses. Another custom character pose here. This of course is Captain Powers. The symbol on his cape is supposed to be an amalgamation of the power symbol and G for green. Behind Powers is a whole load of Imperial 1.0 poses. I have a lighter green and darker shade of green. Here's my bag of abominations. It's called this because it's filled with modded soldiers and factory defects. Here's some of them. The last soldier on the green side I will be reviewing is this guy. This is a knockoff of the Mark's stretcher bearer, and I originally didn't know specifically who knocked them off. But thanks to Klaus Karner Studios, I found out it was originally from Billy V. These guys are a bit shorter than Timmy Toy Armymen, but it's nothing too major. To bridge the gap between Armymen and vehicles, here's some beefy robots that will aid the Viridians in battle, and in lore is supposed to be a companion model to the XM400. They're both from the same toy line too. That is Final Faction. You might be able to find these at a Dollar Tree for cheap. Here's how they scale next to Timmy Armymen. Intimidating stature. So I have two variants of this guy. one with 2 support machine guns on his shoulders. They're LEGO customs, by the way. And the other has rocket pods on its shoulders instead. Its wing fans can also fold in and out, to which I'll animate them flying. The extra accessory pieces are also removable, for whatever reason. For my actual first vehicle, here is this die-cast Stinson Reliant plane bank. Yes, this in fact is a bank. Here's where you insert the coin, and the belly where you get the coins out. The brand that made this is called Gearbox Toys. They also have other cool looking planes that scale well with Armymen too. This specific model I bought was originally missing some parts like the propeller, rear landing gear, and the tail fins, but I made replacements for those. However, the rear landing gear replacement still isn't structurally sound, so I have to balance it on some base like this random toy. Right under its wing is this quote-unquote 132 G.I. Joe vamp. The twin guns on the back rotates 360 degrees and can aim up and down. Now the reason why I said quote-unquote originally was that this vamp claims to be 132, yet it's clearly smaller than an actual 132 soldier. Oh, did I also mention it's a pullback toy? Here's a blast from the past. Remember that one vehicle from my first collection video? Here it is now with an actual custom turret. It's based on the Wildcat anti-air vehicle. The guns can elevate as well as the sighting equipment too. The turret is also removable. Finally, the rear radar mast can be raised up. These are some Timmy M3 cannons, and here are the jeeps that could pull them. Along with these jeeps are some Timmy M48 Pattons, XM800W armored cars, and the Medusa cargo trucks. I got this lot from the same guy who sold me that pail of green Timmy soldiers for only $20.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
You may have noticed a Boley in my collection, and I will stall no longer. Here is my Boley. This, I believe, is from Boley's Patriot launcher. Though I'm missing the actual missiles that mount on this, as well as the truck. Okay, for real, here's the Boley you were actually waiting for, the M60. This Boley M60 originally had a broken gun barrel, but luckily I was able to replace it with my own custom fix. This is all the furniture and decorative structures I use or may use in my videos. Most of it is BMC military base camp furniture, and behind are some cheap knockoff structures. Next to it is this guard booth with moving barrier arms. The roof is removable, so I can insert whoever I want in it. You could probably recognize this building, and yes, it's the cabin from the Armymen vs. Aliens video. It's basically just a modded cardboard box, and here's the inside. The interior walls are removable so that I can film scenes inside specific rooms. The doors and windows as well can be removed. Behind all the Timmy Pattons is this building. This is based on portable classrooms or offices. The roof is removable. Oh yeah, here's a custom painting I made of what the Green General looks like. Anyways, the background wall can be removed for filming. This flat screen TV fell down. Whoops. These doors here are functional. Now for these in the back. These are bunker pyramids I made based on the ones that appear in the Sabretooth from Plastic Apocalypse. I made two variants. One with a standard cannon. The cannon, by the way, is actually repurposed Little David from my old stop-motion series. The other variant is an original design that took inspiration from things like the Phalanx close-in weapon system. The barrels can also rotate. I also made different variants of the pyramid base, this one being destroyed, and this one showing the interior. For my final structure, it's this stupid Peppa Pig schoolhouse playset. Not much to say about it. It has a ringing bell and a rather gaudy inside, to which I'll never use. I plan on using the outside of the building more for backgrounds and stuff. This triangle is the UFO from Armymen vs. Aliens. It's somewhat based on a TR-3B Black Manta. Before we fully move on to the tans here, let's cover some unconventional Armymen figures. These two tans are actually from the Star Wars command line, but they look normal enough to fit in a standard tan army. Here's the rest of the Star Wars command figures, from Rebels to Empire and bonus Tusken Raiders. I plan on making a Star Wars stop motion with these someday, but the colors from the Imperial soldiers kinda are inconsistent. Like these Royal Guards, which are not red, and multiple crouching stormtroopers with black armor. Though in Star Wars lore, EU and Disney canon, I'm pretty sure there are variants for them which look like these. I also have a lot of sand troopers, which are restricted to Tatooine, but I plan on using these guys as stormtrooper commanders, since they look closest to that, I guess. Though the backpacks might be a issue. Here's how they scale next to 132 Armymen. Here's all the tan Timmy customs so far. The ones on the left are the tan radio guy, and the right guy is the tan gun leader, both from the Lilith promo video. His design is based on the 1950s future soldier concept. Behind them are the Patterson poses, which are airfixed US paratroopers. Some of the poses I don't intend to use as Patterson since they're using a carbine instead of a Thompson, henceforth why some of them aren't fully designed. Although this crawling pose has a carbine, but there really isn't another one for the Thompson aside from this, but he's shooting in this pose. In front are some armies and plastic figures. These are Northwest Frontier figures. These soldiers I intend to repaint to tan later on to represent the Tan Royal Guard. The two soldiers here are the Tan News Team. You'll find them in the Lilith promo video. To be a little more unique with the cameraman, I gave him a camera with a rotatable multi-lens. For my last tan soldiers, here are some vintage NPC soldiers. However, I only have poses for soldiers locking in and bazooka guys. These here are some wagons. The first one is from Greenbrier. It's missing the horses unfortunately, but the coachman is removable. The rear door can be moved down, and the canopy can be taken off. And next to it is this more western looking stagecoach with openable doors. Finally, for a proper tan vehicle, here is this Tamiya Jeep. The Jeep can be converted from a conventional machine gun wielding Jeep to a tow launcher variant. I can also separate the tow launcher as its own thing too. Next is this oversized Sunny Days M113. I made a custom 50 cal for it. The inside is accessible through the multiple hatches on the poor thing. Right afterwards is this all custom-made cardstock Scorpion light tank with a 90mm gun. For my final new tan vehicle, here is this new Raid Tiger 2. Now normally the new Raid King Tiger doesn't look like this, it instead has a shorter gun. Mine's is modified to be more accurate with a longer gun. This tank I conveniently bought broken at a flea market and then replaced the gun and one of the broken wheels. The turret isn't fully rotating and the commander's hatch can be moved. Mine kinda broken off though. Whoops. The gun can also elevate up and down. Now for my third faction, the Reds. For now, all I have are these guys. They are AIP Russian Red Army figures. This lot was my first AIP figures, and I actually quite like them. They all are different poses besides maybe these two here. Some of them may look similar, but on closer inspection here, some of them have beards while others don't. For my final faction, these will be the Greys, and they already have a sizable amount of troops, including the SCS Direct Germans I've previously shown off. The first ones we will cover are these airfixed German infantry figures. So far, I only have painted the officer to be the new Grey General, Stab. To the left of them are more airfixed Germans, but this time they are from the multi-pose kit. Unfortunately, I have not assembled all of them. I originally bought these guys to supplement the previous Airfix figures, but unfortunately it seems they are slightly shorter than the previous ones, even though they're the same scale as 132. Here's the other poses and what they look like. Oh yeah, the kit gave the option to have the helmets on or off, but instead of supergluing, I only applied a small amount of blue tack under the helmet to let it adhere to the soldier's head, but not be permanently stuck to it, so I could take it off. For my final Grey soldiers, they are unusual, but these are the Ubersoldaten, aka the Grey Super Soldiers. They are technically StarCraft Marines, and I plan on painting most of them grey. There's an idle pose, shooting pose, and a shield pose. This guy I painted in a black color to be a unique character potentially. Ignore this grey fella. I messed up the paint job on him. The paint wasn't thinned enough. Here's how they scale next to 132 soldiers. Finally, here's the only grey vehicle. It's just a rubber Hummer, but I promise to get more grey vehicles in the future. Now that's all I have for the things I have accumulated over 2024. Hopefully in 2025 I get more cool stuff. Or less, since I'm kinda running out of storage in my humble abode.